Welcome back to Crime Scene 24/7. To our returning subscribers, thank you for always engaging. Your likes, comments, and shares keeps us motivated. And if this is your first time here, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our chilling crime scenes. Here, we dig deep, we investigate hard, and we bring you stories the mainstream left unsaid. So encourage us by engaging in our videos. Subscribe if you haven't, like, comment, and share. Today's discovery silenced an entire community and leave two innocent boys looking for answers that no one wants to give. I speak to you from the edge of disbelief. This is the story of Jessica Marie Mauthe, a 39-year-old mother from Cadogan Township, Pennsylvania, and the four infants whose remains were found hidden within the walls of her home. On September 13, 2025, a former landlord named Brent Flanagan entered the residence on Oak Avenue, following Ms. Mauthe's eviction. While preparing the house for a new tenant, he noticed a foul odor emanating from a closet. What he found inside, a plastic trash bag wrapped in towels containing the body of an infant, set into motion a wide-ranging investigation. Investigators from the Pennsylvania State Police arrived and began searching the home. In the attic, in totes and plastic bags, they discovered 3 more infant bodies, each wrapped in towels and sealed inside bags. In the criminal complaint, Ms. Mauthe admitted to giving birth at home on multiple occasions, never seeking medical attention, and concealing the infants' bodies. She told investigators that about a year ago she gave birth while on the toilet, heard her baby making noises, wrapped it in towels, held it against her until it stopped making noise, then hid its body. She also described giving birth about 6 years earlier in the bathroom, passing out, and when she awoke found the child beneath her and lifeless. The 2 other living children of Ms. Mauthe, boys aged approximately 6 and 8, remain in the care of child welfare authorities. Neighbors who had often cared for these children say they never suspected Ms. Mauthe was pregnant. When the charges were filed, the counts included 1 count of criminal homicide, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, 4 counts of concealing the death of a child, and 4 counts of abuse of a corpse. Now imagine the silence in that house. The 2 young boys waking to empty rooms, a mother wrestling unseen with sorrow or denial, and 4 infants forgotten, hidden, alone. The surrounding community, many of whom had babysat her sons, are wrestling with questions. How could they not have known? What could have been done? And what storms of despair led a mother to this place? One neighbor said simply, "It's just evil. It's beyond sick." In few minutes, we will trace the chronology of births, the concealments, the investigation, and the unfolding legal case. We will listen to the statements of investigators, the defense's claim that Ms. Mauthe may have been delusional, even that she might have dreamed parts of her own confession. We will try to understand how this could happen in a home, in a small Pennsylvania township, while a family lived unaware next door. Because today, the sleeping walls of that house are witnesses. Those infants now silent will not speak, but their story demands to be heard. And so we begin. The blinds lifted slowly on a scene that would shake a quiet Pennsylvania township. In the earliest hours of the investigation into Jessica Marie Mauthe, age 39 at the time of her arrest, law enforcement agents sifted through more than plastic bags and memories. They uncovered a timeline of birth, death, and concealment spanning years, peeling back layer after layer of a story no map could have accurately charted. The case began to unfold when her landlord, Brent Flanagan of Cadogan Township, Armstrong County, entered the vacated property on Oak Avenue after her eviction on August 14, 2025. What he found would signal the start of a deeper probe. A body, wrapped in towels, in a closet, hidden within a trash bag that emanated a foul odor. Soon, the Pennsylvania State Police and the Armstrong County Coroner's Office joined. They found 3 additional infants hidden in the attic, each enclosed in tote bags or plastic sheeting, wrapped in towels, silent witnesses to a series of life and death decisions that apparently took place in the quiet hours of unobserved pregnancies. Their investigation revealed that Mauthe admitted to giving birth at home on multiple occasions. She claimed that about a year ago she delivered a child in a bathroom, heard it making noises, wrapped it in towels and held it until it stopped making noises and ceased breathing. Earlier still, she said, about 6 years prior, she gave birth in a similar scenario. Passed out on the floor, awakened to find the infant beneath her, lifeless, then wrapped and hidden. Meanwhile, outside the home windows, neighbors continued their daily routines, unaware of the ghostly pattern unfolding mere feet away. Mauthe was raising 2 young sons, approximately ages 6 and 8, while her husband was incarcerated. Many in the community say they had no idea she was pregnant, let alone giving birth and hiding infants. Investigators began to dig deeper. They served warrants for medical records, checked employment histories, and canvassed friends and co-workers in search of missing puzzle pieces. They asked, how many more births? What unseen trauma? And to what extent was mental health a factor? Mauthe's defense would later raise the possibility that she may have been delusional, that parts of her confession may have been dreams. District attorneys, however, moved forward with charges: 1 count of criminal homicide, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, 4 counts each of concealing the death of a child and abuse of a corpse. Behind closed doors, then behind locked files and court dockets, the timelines grew chillingly specific. 1 infant born roughly a year ago at the house, another about 6 years ago, the others somewhere in between, all unaccounted for by medical systems, all unmonitored by social services. None had been taken to a hospital according to investigators. Now the community reels not only at the discovery of the 4 infants, but at the living children who remain. There is concern for their emotional well-being, their trauma, the questions they will carry as they grow. One neighbor put it simply: very sick, very disgusted, sad for the 2 that are left behind, the living children. No words. As the investigation continues, so does the process of understanding why someone would hide, bury, and wrap their own children in blankets and bags rather than call for help. The court docket turns, autopsy reports are pending, community meetings are held, and at the heart of it all lies a mother, 2 living boys, and 4 silent lives. The looming question asked: how did this go unnoticed for so long in a small township where everyone claimed to know everyone else? If you find this story worth telling, subscribe to Crime Scene 24/7 now. Turn on the notification bell, like, comment, and share. The clock in the courtroom ticked forward, but the questions did not slow. On October 28, 2025, during the preliminary hearing in the office of J. Gary DeComo, a magistrate judge in Armstrong County, Pennsylvania, the prosecution laid out disturbing testimony that would carry this case into trial. Troopers from the Pennsylvania State Police recounted that the 4 infant remains, designated babies A, B, C, and D in sworn testimony, were discovered as follows: baby D in a second-floor closet, baby C in a tote in the attic, and babies A and B wrapped in plastic bags in another attic container. They testified that 39-year-old Jessica Marie Mauthe told them she had given birth to baby A and baby C roughly 6 years ago in her bathroom, 1 born on the toilet, 1 while she passed out, and that baby D was born about a year and a half ago, alive, whispered, and then held until it ceased breathing. During the hearing, Deputy District Attorney Katie Charlton's office moved forward with 1 count of criminal homicide connected to baby D, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter connected to baby A, and 4 counts each of concealing the death of a child and abuse of a corpse. Mauthe's defense attorney, Chuck Pascal, argued that there exists no physical or forensic evidence presented yet at this stage to prove the infants were born alive, to identify a precise cause of death, or that Mauthe's statements were even accurate. He urged the public to reserve judgment and introduce the possibility that she may have been in a dream state when recalling her admissions. Judge DeComo denied the motion from the defense to dismiss the charges of homicide and manslaughter, thereby allowing the case to proceed to county court. Meanwhile, Mauthe remains in custody at the Armstrong County Jail, denied bond, awaiting formal arraignment and the setting of a trial date. The courtroom's calm belied the magnitude of what was unfolding. As the docket moved forward in the case of Jessica Marie Mauthe, 39 years old at the time of the charges, both sides began to sharpen their narratives. Prosecutors for Armstrong County District Attorney's Office emphasized the investigative record. The remains of 4 infants were discovered at the house on Oak Avenue in Cadogan Township, Pennsylvania. following the eviction of Mauthe in August 2025. In their line of questioning, state troopers outlined more detailed versions of Mauthe's statements. One trooper testified that Mauthe told investigators she had been using Suboxone without a valid prescription, a drug used to treat opioid dependence, and that she feared intervention from Armstrong County Children Youth Services if she sought medical help. During the hearing, it was revealed that two of the bodies, referred to as babies A and B by police, were found in a tote in the attic of the home, while a third, baby C, was also in the attic but in a separate container. The fourth, baby D, was found in a closet inside a second-floor room previously used as a playroom. On the defense side, Mauthe's attorney Chuck Pascal publicly urged the community to hold judgment and underscored that there was no conclusive forensic evidence presented so far tying the births to live infants or establishing exact causes of death. "You've got to question anything that Miss Mauthe may have said, whether it was accurate or not," he told reporters. He also indicated the possibility of a mental health evaluation, given Mauthe's reported claim that some of what she recounted may have been a dream state. As the preliminary hearing wrapped up before Judge J. Gary DeComo, the more severe charges were held for trial. Specifically, the criminal homicide count linked to the most recently born infant and the involuntary manslaughter count connected to a birth that allegedly occurred approximately 6 years earlier. Mauthe remains in custody at the Armstrong County Jail, denied bail as the case moves toward county court. Beyond the legal mechanics, the emotional toll ripples outward. The two young boys in the household, unseen in the reports but very much present in the lives disrupted, are now under the care of social services officials. Meanwhile, the township's residents, many of whom recalled babysitting for Mauthe's sons, confront a question they never expected. How could such a hidden timeline of births and deaths persist unnoticed? The investigation is far from over. The next chapter focusing on autopsy findings, the defense's mental health strategy, and how the law will interpret the tangled interplay of trauma, silence, and secrecy. The legal gears began to turn with formal proceedings underway in the case involving Jessica Marie Mauthe, aged 39. According to testimony during the preliminary hearing, the transcripts recorded by the Pennsylvania State Police reveal that Mauthe told investigators she had been using a drug known as Suboxone, a medication prescribed for opioid use disorder, without a prescription, and that fear of involvement by the Armstrong County Children Youth Services contributed to her decision not to seek medical attention when the births occurred. Investigators also outlined the storage locations of the 4 infants. For instance, one trooper testified the remains labeled Baby D were contained in a tote in what had been a children's playroom on the second floor of the Oak Avenue residence. The other 3, babies A, B, and C, were found in various totes in the attic. The pattern, according to testimony, suggests each infant's concealment had its own space and container. The hearing came before Magistrate Judge J. Gary DeComo in Ford City, and the district attorney's office moved forward with charges that include 1 count of criminal homicide, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, 4 counts of concealing the death of a child, and 4 counts of abuse of a corpse. On the defense side, Mauthe's attorney, Chuck Pascal, emphasized that at this stage there was no forensic or scientific evidence presented in court that conclusively proves any of the infants were born alive or how they died. He told reporters that parts of his client's statements may have been recollected in a dream state and asked the public to withhold judgment while the investigation progresses. Meanwhile, in the quiet corridors of the courthouse, what looms ahead is a full trial in the county court system. Mauthe remains in custody at the Armstrong County Jail, denied bail, as the legal process moves into evidence gathering, expert testimony, and mental health evaluations. As the courtroom lights stay on, the public watches. Families in the township brace for the ramifications. Questions swirl around how so many births, losses, and concealments could transpire in plain sight, and whether intervening systems might have stepped in. The next season of this unfolding story extends into the heart of forensic inquiry and the painstaking scrutiny of a legal system challenged by heartbreak. In the weeks following her hearing, Jessica Marie Mauthe, age 39, remained in custody at the Armstrong County Jail, as investigators awaited results that might determine the fate of the 4 infants found in her former home. Autopsy reports were ordered for each of the infants, and forensic pathologists were tasked with determining not only cause and manner of death, but also whether any of the babies had ever lived outside the womb. The defense cautioned that no such determination had yet been publicly confirmed. Meanwhile, criminal investigators with the Pennsylvania State Police revealed more of the timeline. They confirmed that Mauthe told them the births occurred over a span of roughly 6 years, the most recent about a year to a year and a half ago. The defense, guided by attorney Chuck Pascal, signaled that Mauthe's mental health status would be central. Pascal emphasized that until the autopsy and forensic findings were final, assumptions could mislead. He indicated that his client may have been experiencing dissociative episodes, sleep-associated trauma, or other psychological conditions that could explain her memory and behavior. At the same time, county social services agencies conducted welfare reviews concerning the 2 young living boys, ages approximately 6 and 8, who had been living in the home. The review sought to address what safeguards may have failed and what warning signs may have gone unnoticed. As the summer days gave way to autumn in Cadogan Township, the community's grief and horror reached a turning point. Local support groups, faith-based outreach, and mental health professionals were mobilized to assist neighbors grappling with the reality that a single home had harbored such loss. The question echoed among many residents. How many births? How many hidden nights? How many cries unheard? In late October 2025, convicted with formal charges but still awaiting a full docket, 39-year-old Jessica Marie Mauthe learned that her case will not be swept away. The preliminary hearing held in the office of Magistrate Judge J. Gary DeComo resulted in the dismissal of her attorney's motion to throw out the more serious counts, meaning that the 1 count of criminal homicide, connected to the most recent birth, and 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, connected to an earlier birth, will proceed to county court. With the formal path to trial now set, there is more than mere schedule at stake. The prosecution, led by the Armstrong County District Attorney's Office under Katie Charlton, has signaled that forensic evidence, witness testimony, and a layered timeline will play central roles. State troopers detailed that Mauthe allegedly told them she'd given birth to 4 infants over approximately 6 years. One as recently as about a year and a half ago, others roughly 6 years prior. Meanwhile, the defense continues to emphasize uncertainty. There is, they note, no publicly introduced forensic confirmation that any of the infants ever lived beyond birth, nor that Mauthe caused their deaths. Attorney Chuck Pascal has suggested Mauthe's memories may have been distorted, even describing them as possibly the product of a dream state. Behind the legal motions, the community and the 2 young surviving boys, Mauthe's sons, await the outcome with fear and unanswered questions. As the case moves to trial, what remains will be scrutinized. The autopsies still pending, mental health evaluations forthcoming, and a judge's decision on how the evidence will be presented to a jury. In the coming days, we will witness how the silent cries of the 4 infants, wrapped and hidden, find voice in court. And so we arrive at the threshold of what comes next in the case of 39-year-old Jessica Marie Mauthe. The preliminaries have concluded, the charges have been solidified, and the courtroom doors stand open for the full, unfolding trial. Her indictment remains as follows: 1 count of criminal homicide, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, and 4 counts each of concealing the death of a child and abuse of a corpse. As the clock hands move toward arraignment, the community around Cadogan Township, Pennsylvania watches. 2 young boys, the remaining sons in the home, are growing up amid the shockwaves of this scandal, while the legal system prepares to weigh forensic evidence, mental health evaluation, and testimony of unheard lives. For our audience, this narrative is far from closed. If you're following every twist, every piece of evidence, every testimony and turning point in this case, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Join us on Crime Scene 24/7 for live updates, deep dives into the forensic details, and full breakdowns when the trial begins. The hidden story of the 4 infants, the 2 living children, and the mother at the center is only beginning to come into view. Thank you for watching, and don't miss what happens next.